we are going to take a moment to confirm that we are up and live everywhere before we start delivering our steaming hot takes and our emotional, you know, unloading. I think that's more so what's going to happen, especially with this first game. Yep, I see we're up on YouTube. Excellent. And on Facebook, are we there?
I don't see it yet.
We are on Facebook as well. I'm just going to modify
Yes,
it. Right
we
now it
are.
says post game. And this is just for the Celtics. So we're going to do Bruins playoff pregame.
That's it.
Game
Clean that
3.
up. Clean that
Game
junk up.
3. Save. And we are on YouTube.
Massive game to say the least.
Yep. I mean, would you say that it's the biggest game of the series? Guys, would you say it's the biggest game of the series?
It is, and it's not because of any like home court crap or anything like that. It's more of, was it exactly what we thought it was? Just a ridiculous, gross fluke. You know, Miami shooting 54% from 3 on 43 attempts. I want to be so mad at the Celtics, but that is such a ridiculous like lottery ticket that it's like, okay, let's see them do that again. And you know, a lot of people are like, well, they were wide open. You know, so yes, the Celtics need to make adjustments so they're not giving up wide open threes constantly. They had 23 wide open 3-pointers. But I don't care if all 43 attempts were wide open. No team should shoot 53% from 3, especially a team with garbage talent like Miami has right now.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and you know, I think you talked about adjustments, and the sad part is you know, I've come around on Joe Mazzulla, right, this year, but this is really a time where he could prove himself to be a complete inept idiot. And I think one of his biggest issues is that I think, is incredibly stubborn. And some of his post game comments were just so diluted and just showed that he was wearing saggy diapers that leaked. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all that he just didn't own it and say, you know what? We saw what they were doing. We know what we were doing wrong, and we're going to make adjustments, right? We have a plan. But instead, he's like, no, it was fine. It was fine. Everything we do is fine. We contested everything. Yeah. It's like, no, Joe, you didn't. You didn't.
Not even close.
We were all watching the game, man. Joe Mazzulla is a human, and I think that's everything everybody needs to realize. Coaches are human, and we can disagree with him, right? And I think I wholeheartedly, and I think the entire universe disagrees with him that all those threes were contested, because they just simply weren't. And from an adjustment standpoint, what I hope Joe thinks about is, number one, switch everything, right? The drop coverage, we can't keep up with the screens. The moving screens are not getting called. So you can't get over a screen. It's just not happening in the series. I don't know why. Joe's not in the refs' ears. The refs don't care enough. We got to switch everything. So it doesn't matter if Porzingis has to, you know, or you know, Horford or whatever has to guard Caleb Martin on the perimeter. That's what has to happen. Whatever we have to do to get a hand in people's faces and go from there, Dad. What are your thoughts on the adjustments?
Exactly, Matt. And that's the problem with having such a young coach, right? He just doesn't have that life experience. It's infuriating. And he doesn't have any ownership. That's a typical trait, I'm sorry, of a younger person. I don't mean to, you know, categorize all young people or stereotype them.
All right. I got to cut you off.
Usually you don't get humbled until you start getting older. And Joe Mazzulla is just like, nope, nothing to see here. I don't know what anyone's talking about. So you didn't see all the wide open shots. And this is where he's just not a great coach. His in-game adjustments are horrible. He just gets second guessed after the game, and he pushes back and he's gruff about it. Man, I can't tell you the last time the story of the game was in-game adjustment Mazzulla made that worked and turned the game around. We used to get him with Doc Rivers, even though he's not a great coach back in the day. We used to get him with Brad Stevens. Udoka was only around for a year. So I don't remember any specific games, but I remember he turned everything around right after the All-Star break. That's when the Celtics became an absolute force on Ime Udoka's watch. It's time. It's just time for us to see something where we're like, this is what the Celtics see in Missoula. This is it. That is it. That now he's looking like a young Spoelstra, and it's just there's nothing there. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Matthew and me could coach that team to 60 wins. They're just so talented.
That we should be able to out talent this Miami team. That's why, again, this is I think the most important game of the series because it's just really shows like if we have the guts to beat this Miami team. Are they in our head? Do they have free real estate, or are we actually gonna go out and have some grit against this team? But like my dad said, I'm pretty sure I could coach this team, and that's no exaggeration. This is not football, right? We're not calling plays. This team is so profoundly more talented than this Miami Heat team. And, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Bam gets to the paint, whatever. Let Bam do it. Bam is not that good, right? You can let Bam take 50 shots in that stupid paint, and it's still better than giving up 40-something wide open threes, right? Just like overall, I would love to see a defensive mindset switch. I would also like to see offense. I think the biggest thing is drive and kick. That's one of the things I think we got away with a lot in a handful of games this year, and almost all of them we ended up losing. Was Missoula ball is supposed to be drive and kick, right? Tons of threes, spacing. I don't know why he's getting away from that. Well, why he's in this ISO matchup hunting garbage when the Heat are doing a wonderful job at closing out. The Heat are swarming in the paint. There's no calls happening, okay? I don't know who has to send Joel Mazzulla a memo, but the league has changed since the All-Star break, and he needs to catch the F up before we have a historical collapse in the first round like we had last year with the Boston Bruins, right? And at least the Boston Bruins lost to a freaking good team. This Heat team is trash, right? So Mazzulla needs to get the memo and tell the guys, you're not going to get calls. If you can't go up hard and finish, kick the ball out to one of our 4 other 40% three-point shooters and let them work. The fact that Derek White's been almost invisible this series, and I think in no way that we can blame him, because every time he has gotten the opportunity to be a part of the game, he makes the shot, he makes the play. But for some reason, we're icing Derek White out of the games, and it's really weird to me. But Dad, as it comes from like an offensive, modification, what would you suggest, or any thoughts on game plan changes for the offense?
See, before I touch on that, I don't want to forget my point. I'll hit on the offense, but could we, for the love of God, have anyone on the team that gets really aggressive and gives them a hard foul for once? Can we have somebody step up and just bury one of their players and go, oh, yeah, foul on me? Because that's the way it is now. No blood, no foul. They're not calling it. Could we for once look like the aggressor against this team? This is why I thought it was going to be a sweep. I thought after what happened last year, the embarrassment the Celtics faced, being down 3-0 and then getting crushed in Game 7 on our home court, I thought there's no way. They're going to be so motivated and pissed at this Heat team. This Heat team's not going to stand a chance. Where the hell is that? It did show up the first game. Where the hell was it the second? Was it a one-game series?
For the first 3 quarters. It really wasn't there in the fourth quarter, and it really hasn't been good since that fourth quarter. So, Dad, all right, how do we get there? What do we do on the offensive side of the ball to get this moving? What are your thoughts?
The offensive side, they got to start doing more mid-range jumpers that aren't fadeaways. Start sending some picks, and you got Porzingis, who's an elite mid-range jumper in the post. Brown is an elite mid-range jumper. Tatum is too, especially when they're not falling away. They're good at fall-away mid-range jumpers, but there's no need for it. They don't have good individual defenders, Miami. They're a good team defenders. That's what they all are. So I'm not saying we need to shoot our share of threes, but driving to the hoop is not getting anywhere because they're not calling anything. So I don't like that strategy necessarily, driving to the hoop. Let's, mix it in. Like you said, Matt, drive, kick, drive, kick. Can we design some plays to get some easy mid-range wide open jumpers? Like that would be nice to not see every wide open mid-range jumper be a freaking fadeaway. Like
Yep.
why does it have to be that way? Set up a high pick, not at the 3-point line, but at the free throw line. Set a pick to get Jaylen Brown a damn easy mid-range jumper that he doesn't have to fall away from. Like I don't know why that's impossible.
I don't know either. And I mean, we'll see, everybody. I mean, this is a big day for us, and the Bruins delivered. We're gonna, I think, try and talk about the Bruins. The reality is that this game of the Celtics should be over enough to where we should be able to do a pregame for the Bruins. The Celtics should hopefully be up 25 in the fourth quarter. We get on and we just kind of do our, spike our ball and watch and talk about the Bruins. We'll see. We're gonna have to see.
I'm gonna do a Bruins pregame because they deserve it.
They do deserve it.
We need to do it. So
yeah.
Screw that. They had a great battle back last game. We're going to give them their love. Hopefully the Celtics have them buried by then, like you said, Matt. But, so be it. If we have to watch the Celtics from the side, I guess, it shouldn't be in that position. We should not be in that position in a close game. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's in Miami. This team is garbage. It's ridiculous. So they're not going to shoot 53%, 54% from three again. Put your damn neck on this. Put your damn foot on their neck and snap it. Oh my goodness, it's just infuriating.
Yep. Do what Mobile Dumps does and lay and just put him out. Sweep the leg. Mobile Dumps. It's a up and coming minor league baseball team from Joe Schwartz Little League. Went 14-1 today. Shout out to Mobile Dumps. 1, 2, 3 dumps. That's what the Celtics need to do. Team. They're also green. Let's see, Dad.
And Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday and Derek White, like you said, get them more involved. All right. Drew Holiday.
They're hitting their shots. How is they hitting their shots? They're hitting their shots.
Yeah.
Right.
And, it's just last game was just a complete fluke. It's so unfair. Brown had an awesome game. Tatum had a typical good Tatum game, and we still lost because it is fluke and just our softness on defense, especially covering the three. Fix this up. They better have come up with a game plan to limit their wide open 3-pointers. We're about to see. And I'm telling you, if we don't win this championship, Mazzulla better be out. He better be out, especially if we get embarrassed.
First round exit.
Especially if we get embarrassed.
First round exit, Mazzulla has to go. This team is still a championship contender next year. It's a contender. It should win the championship this year. And I will say, keys to the game. Defense, switch everything or change the zone. One or the other. Figure something out. The trying to get through man-to-man, pick and rolls it's just not working. And then also offense, drive, kick, get those mid-rangers out. Go Celtics. Game's about to start, Dad. Any other final closing thoughts?
No, I like those keys to the game. I reiterate that. I feel that's the case. And just can we be more aggressive for once? Let's be aggressive with them. Let's get some hard fouls on them.
Away.
All right? Let's show them that we're not going to be pushed around. We're not scared of you guys like everyone thinks we are. Can we see that? Could you be men? Celtics, please, for the love of God. And, hopefully we're talking good things about them in the post game if we have one.
All right, everybody. I hope everybody has a good game, and hopefully we have good news. I'll talk to you everybody later.